the RPG Maker General Podcast, or the rpgmgp.
Intro guy, where were you last week?
Character departure. Theming. Look it up! Hello everyone, and welcome to the RPG Maker General Podcast, or the rpgmgp, your one-stop shop for everything RPG Maker. This is Cody, aka Marpix, and with me today are Deldris.
Hey.
Blue Sky Robin.
Now with extra tiredness.
And the Devil's Advocado, it's Brad.
Or not.
It's not Brad.
Oh my god, Brad.
RIP.
Hey guys, it's Brad. How's it going, everybody? Oh, I'm sorry. That's my kid. Hold on. Hush, little baby, don't say.
So there's a new Yanfly comic.
Is there? Really? I have to check that out now.
I think he was kidding.
Oh, fuck you then.
He starts that way every time. We go through all the introductions and Cody's like, there's a new Yanfly comic out.
That's because there's been. Like, thank God. Thank God for that.
Does Yanfly know you plug them like every podcast?
Everyone plugs Yanfly all the time for, like, you know, for good reason.
Yeah. Yanfly is like the Queen of England with RPG Maker. Like, you'll remember you shook hands with the Queen, but the Queen won't remember because she shakes 25 hands an hour. Like, that's just how it goes.
Pretty much. I mean, like, unless we make our own game and then he played it himself or something.
I wonder what Yanfly would have to say about a game, because, like, he only ever covers, like, the coding aspects of the game. So, would a grand story be lost on him, or would it be just easy to sell him on a story even if it wasn't all that grand?
I could have coded this with 2 less lines.
He did, like, hire, like, 7 other Skynets to assist him, right?
Yep. We're already running a tad late. We're just gonna keep rolling the tape here and see if Brad comes back.
I'm here.
Hi!
And that was Brad's intro.
Receive.
Yep, that's me. I'm Brad. Just edit it right in there. Oh, wait, that's right. You don't do separate audio. Well, fuck. Yes, Yanfly, definitely.
All right.
I'm caught up.
Perfect. So, over the past 2 weeks, E3 happened. There were a number of exciting presentations showcasing all the brand new video games coming out. I happened to catch a bit of Bethesda's, most of Microsoft's. I saw Devolver's little 15-minute presentation. I didn't catch Nintendo or Sony. I think Microsoft did a good job this year, which I'm not exactly a fan of Microsoft, but I do like their presentation this year compared to the one that got, like, supercut into TV, television, TV, sports, TV, Call of Duty, sports. You know, so they did a lot better this year on showing some actual fucking video games. Even if none of them were exclusive, you know, most improved award goes to Microsoft.
I think Call of Duty Sports would be a really fun game to play.
Yeah?
Instead of a shot put, it's a grenade.
Hell yeah.
You're throwing a grenade, there's like a bunch of baby seals around you within like the first 50 feet, so if you don't throw it at least 60 feet, you're gonna kill a baby seal and feel really bad.
Oh, God.
We're talking about Call of Duty players.
Are you talking about, like, a baby seal as in a baby that's dressed up as a Navy SEAL, or...
I was just talking...
Can't risk it. Shoot it.
Oh my god.
You're gonna throw a grenade at the baby Navy SEALs, you monster!
Jesus. Fine. Within 50 feet there are American flags.
Oh no!
Not my Murica.
That's something that Call of Duty players actually would care about.
Yeah, and if you fail to throw the grenade any further than that, all the flags that blow up, you have to watch a cutscene where soldiers come by with the flags, pick them up properly, fold them, and return them back into their storage room. Each and every flag you explode, so it's going to be like an hour-long cutscene.
And then you have to press F to...
How long would it take to watch flag folding of flags in a 50-foot radius around you? Like, there'd be so many flags.
Yeah.
Oh god, I'm dying, Cody. Fuck you.
You just drop the grenade at your feet and you ragdoll in the air and destroy most of the flags.
You make a speech about communism and then drop the grenade and walk out.
Oh boy.
This sounds like Russian drills.
So, who do you guys think won E3?
Nintendo.
I was about to say not Nintendo.
I
only cared
I
about
didn't watch
Sony.
any of the actual E3, but I've been like looking at everything that's come out of E3, and I honestly can't remember anything that isn't something on Nintendo.
State of Decay.
State of
Anthem looks pretty sweet.
Anthem.
Anthem? That's the new BioWare game that's coming out. I totally forget what it's called, but there's a game that basically looks like first-person Helldivers, and I'm excited about that.
I only paid attention to it to check about my favorite game, and Monster Hunter Worlds, bitches! Fuck yeah!
Coming to console.
Yeah, it looks so great, man. It's like it's so different from like the handhelds. It's great. Can't wait to see more of it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought this was the most underwhelming E3. Like, I was not excited about a lot of things.
You know, I
Maybe we're all just jaded old men now.
We totally are. You know, once you get to your 20s and you develop taste, you know that episode of South Park, You're Getting Old?
Sure.
That's really what it is like Stan is hearing music that he's heard before, but now it sounds like garbage because he heard something better. And that's just getting old. I do think that from what I saw of E3, there's a lot of large graphical improvements, so things look really good now. Like the lighting, the shading textures, the 4K, whatever meme they're pushing, that's all great. But I do think that the large corporations are losing their personality a tad. Because, like, Bethesda, okay? They did their presentation late at night, and they did Bethesda Land, which was, you know, kind of a cute little overarching theme for their games. But they didn't bring out Todd Howard. At least not what I saw. I watched about the first 10 minutes or so. I didn't see Todd Howard up on stage. They should know by now how big of a meme Todd Howard is. And if you bring him out, you get to address it and you get to have a little fun with it. But if you don't bring him out at all, you make yourself seem very, you know, corporate and distanced. It's kind of like how in the Battleship movie with Liam Neeson, nobody says, "You sunk my battleship." Nobody. It's based off the Hasbro property and board game Battleship, but no one says "you sunk my battleship." And I would have watched the movie just to hear Liam Neeson say that line. But it's like, come on, man, it's right there. That's what we're expecting.
Yeah, it was like the last Airbender movie. It was just like handed on a silver platter to be a multi-million-dollar best thing to ever exist. But Shyamalan was like, you know what, though? I just enjoy crushing everyone's dreams a lot more than that.
God.
So basically, they were blue balling, yeah.
It was a fundamental misunderstanding of the audience. In both cases. And for Airbender, it was even more egregious because they changed how people's names were pronounced.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that were ridiculous about that movie, but that's not why we're here.
No.
We're here to talk about
that'll
video
take
games.
another 2 hours.
So let's talk about the Legend of Korra game.
Platinum game was
This is
okay.
giant enemy crab.
God.
Giant enemy crab.
God. All right, moving on.
Crab battle.
All right.
Moving on. So RPG Maker FES officially released in the US recently. I have not been able to play it because I'm a busy adult. I'm a grown-ass man. I've got things to do. But I did look at the screenshots, and I've talked before about, like, you know, I appreciate that as opposed to the PS1 and PS2 versions where you had to hand somebody your copy of the game and your memory card to have them play your game. They just have to download an app now, and you can share your game with them. So you get to keep your game and keep deving, and they can play it on their own. But also, I love the art style. It's vibrant, and it's got the right kind of proportions. It's tall sprites. That's what gives me a boner. A design boner is tall sprites.
You can't import your own assets, so they have to look good. Or as far as I know, I don't think you can add your own assets.
If it's like the other console versions, you probably can't, but it probably still has like...
You have a lot of presets, I guess.
Well, the PS1 version and I believe the DS version both have a maker that let you make your own walking and enemy sprites. but you had to do it, pixel by pixel. And in the PS1 version, it was kind of a pain in the ass. In the DS version, I assume it was a bit easier. And for them to take that out of a newer version would amount to heresy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, they wouldn't be the first people to remove features in a sequel.
that's true.
Yeah, that's true. It's always a weird thing with sequels, isn't it?
Sometimes that's not a bad choice. Like, if the feature is not so great.
Terrible.
If it's replaced also with something that functions better. I mean, it's been a long time since I've played any Kingdom Hearts. Like, the magic system in the second game was so much better that I remember thinking, playing through the second one, like, I don't think I could play through the first one again now, because it made me realize how bad the magic system was in the first game.
Well, the thing about that is they at least replaced it with something good or better.
Yeah.
Because some sequels are like, nah, just remove that and put nothing back.
Oh, Oblivion got rid of a lot of things from Morrowind. A number of them were good choices. I do still miss my spears and medium armor, though.
That reminds me of seeing the new Life is Strange at E3. And there's something that really, really bothers me about it, and that is they took away the thing that made it unique. The whole premise of the first game was you had, like, the power to rewind time a short amount, like maybe a couple minutes at most. So unlike all the other Telltale-type games and what have you, when you made a decision, most of the time, like 95% of the time, you could see the immediate consequences of your actions and then rewind and pick something else to see the immediate consequences of that action. You couldn't see all the long-term effects that would happen, and once those happened, it was kind of too late. But you could explore all of your options. And they also made puzzles around rewinding and stuff like that, and that was really cool. Well, now they're coming out with the sequel, which is actually a prequel about a character that is not the main character and does not have rewind powers. So they totally just got rid of the thing that made it unique from all the other pick-your-own-adventure type games.
Nope. It
But
still
mostly
has
just
it still has the older lesbian crush.
Yeah, that's who
That's
it's
the
about,
main character
Chloe.
I mean,
now.
that was the main feature of the game,
Well,
actually.
no. I mean,
as far as I can tell.
this time, Chloe, I believe, is the younger girl, and she has an older girl that she's lesbianing over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a prequel. You know about all... Well, you don't know about everything they go through, but you know that Chloe and that girl Rachel were friends, and it's just about them before Chloe met up with Max in the first game. But the thing is that Chloe doesn't fucking
have time
rewind
powers
in the first game. It doesn't know that they exist. So they either have to retcon all of that and give her rewind powers that she loses later and, like, loses all of her memories of having or something stupid. Or she needs to not have rewind powers, which totally eliminates all the uniqueness of the game.
You gotta
So-
remember, the uniqueness is cute lesbians being lesbians. That was
have to
the
be a
main
lesbian.
selling point of the game, is lesbians.
Well,
Really?
fine, still have lesbians, but, you know, from a gameplay
That's all I
standpoint-
ever hear anyone talk about.
That is all anybody talks about, and it pisses me off because there's characters that are like Chloe and Max are great characters, but there's a lot of other great characters that nobody really talks about, and it makes me sad.
Yeah, like the skateboard guy that fumbles a lot.
Yeah, that guy
What a character.
like breaks his dick.
Yep.
Not really, but like he smashes his skateboard right into his crotch once,
Ooh.
and you have to like rewind and stop him from doing that,
Or just let it happen and laugh.
or just let it happen.
Well, aren't you a nice time rewinding girl? No,
There's actually a running gag in the first game where this girl always ends up like in. It's like unfortunate things just happen to her. Like she'll be walking down the hall and the janitor will like knock over a bucket of water and it'll spill on her, or somebody will like spill coffee on her, or she'll end up dropping her food or something like that. And she shows up once every game and has something bad happen to her like that, and you have to rewind and stop it from happening.
Oh, jeez. That fucking sucks.
Oh boy.
It's not a huge deal if you miss it. It's just kind of a funny little side thing that happens. The game had a lot of fun little side stuff, but I won't get too into that.
Yeah, because it's spoilery for what happens at the end, right?
No, it has nothing to do with the end, but we're not here to talk about Life is Strange. And I feel like
Yeah.
I've already taken up enough time for it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Maybe one day.
I'm just excited about all that Nintendo stuff. Mario with guns. I mean, fuck, it's finally happened in the Rabbids one.
I didn't look at that one. I didn't want to like look at it at all because it involves rabbits.
They announced
Rabbids
Metroid Prime 4, and that blew my mind. I couldn't believe it.
Well,
Did you see Miyamoto with one of those guns? Like he had a bullet bill one.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Wow. What?
Like they're like what would more logically be a handgun if we really were trying to think of names for things, because it like just kind of wraps around your hand and it's like basically makes it so you have a Mega Man blaster. That's
So
how
it's
the
just a
gun
Mega Man blaster that shoots bullet bills.
Yeah, but like it's not attached to your existence. It's like it's got a handle in there. But this one was painted up like a bullet bill, which I assume is probably like a rare gun in the game.
man, I want to talk about Metroid real quick. Nintendo did a very smart move. That was
Did
smart.
they?
Because y'all remember Federation Force?
What was that? I've never heard of it. Nope, never in my life.
I had to, for the sake of this conversation, I had to look up and see if Federation Force had actually released. And it did. August of last year. It was so hated that nobody even talked about the game after it came out. Not even 4chan V, of all places, could generate enough hate for the game to talk about it. Just apathy.
Yeah.
So it's like For Honor. Like, it came out, and nobody hates it so much that it gets ragged on all the time, like No Man's Sky. It's just nothing.
Yeah.
What was For Honor?
Exactly.
It was basically, what the hell's the game? There are so many games where you swing a sword around.
Chivalry.
Chivalry, thank you. Yes, it was basically Chivalry for consoles, and Adam played the hell out of the beta.
Oh, wait,
but-
was For Honor the one with the Vikings and the Samurai and the Knights?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool. I remember
garbage.
that coming out, and it sounded like it required money, so I wasn't that interested.
Yeah.
It does not require money. Everybody blows up the pay-to-win thing, which I think is completely ridiculous.
Oh,
But
okay.
there's so many things wrong with the game that I would need to dedicate like a patented Red Mage 40-minute rant to explain it all, and we don't have that kind of time.
No.
But it's shit. and
Yeah,
that's
so
all
in
you need to
short,
know.
what's wrong with it is you play, I guess.
That's the least of its problems.
Yeah, no, Adam played
The
it.
least? Are you sure?
Yeah,
Yes.
because Adam played it and he gave me a first-hand account, and basically because it's between Knights, Vikings, and Samurai. All right. So the way Adam described his experience with For Honor is you either play with the racists, the super racists, or the weeaboos. Like,
Okay.
yeah, just like with Chivalry, the community is full of little kids. They've moved on from Call of Duty apparently.
We should
Racist
go start
kids
playing
can-
Call of Duty sports.
Call of Duty Olympics.
On that note,
Featuring Dante from Devil May Cry.
Run a marathon
And
that
couples.
commit a war crime.
Boy, oh boy.
let's get to the meat of this here, what we're actually here to talk about. We at the RPG Maker General crew, it's been pointed out to us we barely actually play RPG Maker games. So we have sought to address this. So we scoured the globe, we scoured RPGmaker.net, we looked for something that was fun, unique, interesting, had a lot to offer even if it wasn't perfect, and most importantly, was short. We happened upon Sacred Earth Promise, which was a game made by Sky Fortress for a Game Jam contest. It's about an hour and a half long. It features a ginormous cast of characters. It's also a visual novel style RPG. So there's no mapping. They took out the maps entirely. Most of it is menu based. So it focuses on not only interacting with the characters and its unique symbol map dungeon traveling system, but also the combat. The combat is super unique because when characters die, they randomly wake up and come back later. Also, healing
After 3 turns.
after 3 turns. Thank you.
Yeah.
Healing also doesn't take your turn, so if you have enough EP, which is their equivalent of MP, you can just heal and then keep smacking at another person. And thank God for that, because the combat is effing brutal.
Yeah, that got steep real fast. Like, even the tutorial fight, I was like, what the fuck?
Well, I think the biggest problem that I have so far, I'm literally playing through it now, trying to get more of the game in. I'm at the end of the first dungeon currently. The problem with the combat is everything is happening so fucking fast. I have no idea if I'm doing things wrong, if I should figure out a way to prepare or make different choices. Because, like, when the enemy attacks, in particular, like, I can't tell real well what elements are being used. Or, like, I can't predict it by looking at the enemy that well. And, like, there are, like, elemental barriers that are associated with healing. So I'd like to use the barriers that are most useful when I heal, but I'm not really all that certain which one that's going to be. And I just found out, like, 10 minutes ago, that there are more than 4 spells for each character.
Wait, there is?
Yeah. They have another 4 spells each, which are different between them, that, like, they're, like, stat boosts and penalties. And then there's 3 other things which I don't know how to activate, because they apparently take EP, but I guess maybe they take that percentage bar too.
They take EX. They're EX.
The EX?
skills.
Okay.
Yeah, which was
Yeah.
covered in the tutorial.
Yeah, that's a problem I had with it. Like, the tutorial is kind of like, the tutorial's skippable, but you kind of have to look at it, and it's front loaded as all hell.
Yeah, you basically just read a bunch of menus that explains all of the combat at once, and then they just throw you into it. I imagine that's probably for the purpose of just getting it all out of the way so they could get on to showing you stuff. But that really, like, it makes combat kind of like a whole learning experience. The learning curve is pretty steep. Like I, just said, I didn't even know there was more than 4 spells. I didn't use an EX skill the entire game because I didn't know how to activate them.
God. There was a lot of depth that is there but wasn't directly addressed. Like what Brad said, every character has 2 healing skills, and those healing skills are associated with their own elements. So Priel, the main character, her elements are fire and earth, so she's strong against fire and earth, but weak to their opposing elements, water and wind. And her healing skills are fire element and earth element, respectively. So if you cast the fire-based heal on somebody, they also gain resistance to fire. So it isn't really worth it for Priel to heal herself. You want her to heal either Perrine or Remela, because that will give one of them fire resistance.
Yeah, but kind of going back into what Brad said, I agree. The combat, the actual display of the combat, like, is really, really fast. You blink and you'll miss the entire turn, and it makes it hard to keep track of what's using what and what elements you're being hit with and just everything. Like, it's way too fast to keep track of what's actually happening.
Yeah, the enemies, they, like, flash once, as opposed to your characters, because, like, your characters are well animated, they've got a lot of personality, they've got all these different animations that they do, but then the enemies are static, and when they attack, they flash and then do an attack, and if you blink, you'll miss it. And even, like, the resist and the strong stuff kind of goes a little quickly, too. It's almost like they want you to think about your characters more than they want you to think about the enemies.
I mean, to a certain degree, that could be okay, but, like, I still need to know what's happening in combat. It goes by so fast, like, at the end, it's just like, okay, so who needs healing now? And that's about as much as I can figure out.
Yeah, for me, combat became pick everything, do the whole turn, and then just look at my character's health to see who has the lowest and heal them, because I'm not going to be able to tell what the hell is going on anyway.
Yeah, my tactic was spam EX recover, because EX recover is great.
Yeah, I liked EX Recover if this game ever got a full-fledged release, EX Recover would be superbly broken because it also resets your cooldowns. And because healing doesn't take your turn, you could use both your heals, and while they're on their cooldown, use EX Recover to reset the cooldowns and heal yourself, and then heal yourself twice again, and then you could defend, which in this game is called Focus, which also recovers some HP. So you could probably get back, 2,000 or 3,000 HP just by properly managing your skills.
Yeah, but I mean, that still requires you have the EP to cast your healing spells 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you start with like 75, and then you get a little bit back from EX Recover, you could probably do it.
Yeah, but how often do you have 75 EP? I don't think I was ever really above 50 between like having to heal, casting spells, and all that.
That's probably
Plus, regularly attacking actually takes EP, so
that's true.
That's an interesting choice, and like this combat system took a lot of risks. Like the fact that the only free action, so to speak, is the focus. The most normal of attack still requires your EP. And if you don't have EP and you attack, you hurt yourself. Hurt itself in its confusion.
Right.
Either that or flail. Not that any of us play Pokemon.
wasn't that called Struggle?
Yeah, it's such an unpopular game.
Yeah, I think it is called Struggle. The no PP move. If you got no PP, you struggle.
And how?
God damn it.
Struggle's real, friend. What's your trouble? I have no PP.
Jesus. Yeah, that is a good assessment. It did take a lot of risks, and the EP management and trying not to die. I did appreciate the combat, because it was resource management heavy, but it didn't feel boring. It didn't feel like I was wading through a whole lot of menus, because I wasn't. I think that if the enemy's turns took as much time as the characters' turns did, so you could properly strategize, I think it would be a lot better going down the road there.
Yeah, I agree. With some tuning, this combat could be, really good. It just needs to be slowed down a bit. Maybe take down the difficulty a little bit. I think that's part of the reason why they have your characters basically just respawn after 3 turns is, well, one, there's no items. So as far as I can tell, there's no way to like bring someone back. The second thing is that the combat is so brutal that if that wasn't a thing, then I don't even know if I would have got past the last fight.
Yeah. They put a strong emphasis on the character's turns, which is why reviving happens automatically, healing doesn't take your turn, EX Recover doesn't take your turn. It's like, you have to be smacking the enemy with something every turn, or you're gonna be caught in basically a death loop where everyone's going to die, and, one's gonna come back, they're gonna die, someone else is gonna come back, they're gonna die, and you're just gonna be fucked.
I also like that the characters' regular attacks have elements associated with them, so you don't necessarily have to cast spells to exploit an elemental weakness, because, there's nothing worse than, oh, hey, this person, the only person who knows a fire spell has, like, garbage magic, so it makes it kind of pointless that they're the only one who can exploit a weakness. Well, they also have a fire sword, so they can make up for that by just with their regular attacks.
I like that the attacks have finishers. Makes all the normal attacks fun.
I will say this. Like, I get the idea by the whole, deciding how many regular attacks you make, especially since each regular attack could potentially harm you. But did anyone ever do less than 5 attacks if there wasn't a threat of hurting yourself, or you ended up killing the enemy before all 5 attacks went?
Yes.
Really?
I did it just so I can stack up on EP.
Yeah, I would attack until whoever the character... Not always, but sometimes I'd attack until the character had 25 EP left, because that's how much a healing spell is, and then I would just stop, so they had enough to heal next turn if required.
That's smart.
Okay. Saying that, it makes sense. I haven't done so. Maybe it's just my button mashing nature is like, it's attack!
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've held back on occasion too, especially with Priel, because there'll be times where I have 15 EP, And I would rather attack once and build up the EP for a second round as opposed to just doing 2 small strings, because Priel's finisher is very powerful. So instead of doing, 1, 2, 3, next turn 1, 2, 3, if I just do 1 and then do 5 and work up to her finisher, she does a frick ton more damage than if I just had her do 2 kind of long strings.
Yeah, her finisher is like 5 regular attacks. It's crazy.
One of the other characters had a big finisher too. Like it's multiple attacks.
The bow user,
Yeah.
I didn't like her.
Really?
I didn't like her because like her basic attack and her finisher are 2 different elements, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
They were?
Yeah, it's super weird.
I thought I was the only one who caught
Yeah,
on
it's
to
like-
that.
Yeah, it's like the normal attack is I don't know what the fuck, and then the finisher is like water or something.
I guess the other one would have to be dark because those are her elements, is water and dark.
Yeah, I assumed that the regular attack was water and then the second one was dark, but I mean, it could be the other way around.
It always bothered me because it'd be like, oh, the first 4 attacks are like, oh, super effective, and then the finisher's like garbage. Or like the first attacks are like super weak, and then only the finisher's worth using.
That actually, if this became a full game, would become a strategic kind of thing, because if their first 4 attacks are 1 element, then you do 1, 2, 3, 4, stop.
But it made me dislike her, so that's why.
You see, because she was my waifu, but more on that later.
I think it's just weird. 'cause
Cody
the other
again,
2
revealing that he
characters-
has trash tier waifus.
Up the shut fuck.
He just wants to be bitten. Which, hey, that's another thing. Is okay. Clearly, there's some vampireness happening with one chick.
With Remela.
Like-
Yeah.
So she talks about getting life force from enemies, and I looked through her abilities. I don't see any where she drains the enemy for health, because that would be obvious.
She uses dark magic, that's the explanation.
No, it's that thing you guys never used, her EX skill, Devouring Darkness. She literally steals health, and it's a lot of health.
I thought I looked through. Well, okay. Well, I can find out here in just a second.
It was overshadowed by the EX recover.
Darkness overshadowed. Ha ha.
Hey,
That wasn't even intentional, Cody.
but dumped.
Oh boy.
I also like the voice acting in the game. Like, what voice acting I could hear anyway. So kids, a little note about scope, alright? The larger your idea for your game, the harder it gets to make on an exponential scale, because everything you add has to work with everything else you've done. That's why the best advice we give on RPG Maker General is make a small, simple game first and get those extra things on their own list for later. Because the voice acting, everyone had about... the 3 main characters had about 10 lines each, for starting a battle, for activating a skill, for their cute little win quote if they finish a battle while using one of their EX skills. But in the game, the music is too loud to hear the voice acting. And if you go to the arena and you do the fights, the music is turned up and down very, very noticeably. So it's not faded up or faded down. It's like it's at volume 50, now it's at volume 100, and then back down to, say, volume 60. And it's seemingly random where the music is for the arena fights. And then when you're in the dungeon, the ice cave, the music is always too loud to hear what they're saying. So when you introduce voice acting into your game, now you have to think about the music. And, oh god, now I have to make sure that all the music in the game is at a low enough volume compared to the voice acting that the VA can be heard.
You briefly
You would
wonder
think an
why the
ice
voice
cave-
acting is so hard to hear during animated cutscenes. I have to pee. What? I have to pee.
Oh god. You would think an ice cave would have very low music or something. But whatever.
Ice levels usually have really great music, so I don't mind that.
Really? Because, like, the only ice stage I can remember with good music is, like, from Sonic 3.
Usually the epic music, it's usually very chill and mystical. With the exception of the ice caves in Final Fantasy VIII, where they play the man with the machine gun, which is the most epic Final Fantasy song, probably.
My man, you got good taste.
I'm thinking about the cold theme from Final Fantasy VII was a pretty chill number. Like when you're in the caves up in the north. Most of the ice elemental stages in Mega Man are pretty, like, nifty. But then again, there's not a lot of bad Mega Man tracks.
Yeah, but
I know
like
what you
what
mean.
Cody was saying was like, I guess the music mixing was too loud and we couldn't hear the voices properly, and that wasn't really that great.
Yeah, the quality of the music, hey, whatever. It's music. I'm not a proper critic
It's
for
good.
that. But if it's
It's good standalone.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you bring voice acting into your game, now you have to think about how loud your music is all the times you want your voice acting to play.
Yeah.
I have to pee. What? God.
We're getting on the bus!
Another thing about the developers' reach exceeding their grasp, at least on my computer, like, I love the custom graphics and the animations, but there were a couple times, especially with Perrine attacking, where it lagged a lot.
Oh no. So that wasn't just me then, huh?
No, like...
Oh, yeah, I thought maybe it was the laptop, but I guess that is just actually a problem.
Yeah, no, like, you attack, and then, like, the meter kind of stays... I'm mashing Z, like, no, don't run out! Don't run out!
Yeah.
I thought that was something
I'm going
by
to attack
design. Like, I didn't even think that
Zawarudo!
was lagging.
Yeah, no, So I can only imagine if they did animate the enemies, which would be super badass, it would probably have an even worse problem trying to load and reload and configure all those assets.
Yeah. Your characters start to attack and then the enemy goes like, Zawarudo!
Zawarudo!
God.
Oh boy. I really am tired because like I'm bringing out weird JoJo references now.
That's the best JoJo reference.
But it's the one everyone knows, so it's not that great.
But then, who cares? It's still amazing.
Okay.
Oh,
Since you said
Luigi!
so.
From the... Oh, man, never mind. I'm getting deeper in the meat.
All right, you memers, back on track here. I liked the symbol map system for traversing dungeons. I think they did a good job having a dungeon without a proper map. So what happens is you have like a grid with nodes, and you travel between the nodes. And a node could be a combat, it could be a trap, both of which can be avoided by using travel points, another resource, or you can find little sections that give you a plot, like it's just a little skit between the characters. So if you reach a dead end, it's not just a dead end for dead end's sake. You occasionally will get rewarded with a little bit of character detail until you eventually find the end where, the plot progression and the boss battles happen.
I have a minor complaint. Like, there was probably too many fights. I mean, IMO, because, like, you don't get experience or money from fights, like, in this demo. So, like, the only reason you're fighting is if you're out of travel points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, sure, the battles are fun in their own way, but there was, like, it felt like there was a little too many. Like, I wouldn't mind if, like, oh, a new node opened up. Oh, it's empty, actually. Rather than, oh, a new node opened up. There's probably a monster there.
Or trap.
Or a trap.
So 25%
I was okay with the
evade
trap
rate.
because I was like, okay, just spend all my travel points to get rid of this fucking trap.
No, I'd
Oh.
just take it, because it's the same as a battle, but, like, you're not going to lose as much as you would with a battle.
I embrace the battles because EX Recover makes me heal more than whatever the battle I started with. So, yeah.
I agree that there were probably more combat nodes than there should have been, but they had to fill the whole map. It wouldn't have looked good if they just did half a map or had these long-ass, paths between nodes. But I do agree there were a lot of battles, and Robin is right when he says, there's no real incentive for fighting the battles. You don't get any items or anything, so you're just doing it for your own sake. So, there should be an incentive to fight the battles. Otherwise, I do like the travel points, the resource expenditure. Because if you understand from the get-go that none of the fights truly matter, then you're comfortable skipping whichever ones with your TP, as opposed to looking up a guy going, oh god, do I need to skip this fight or will I miss out on an item?
Yeah, I hope that though in the actual release, I'd imagine that there's going to be like experience and leveling up and all that to give you more incentive to fight. But looking at just the demo, I just skipped every fight possible because there was really no reason to fight at any point.
Yeah.
I also thought it was interesting that if you skip a monster, it is removed from the node still, as if you had defeated it. So when you, like, let's say you have to go left or right, and you end up going to the right and there's a dead end, when you double back, you don't have to re-skip all those monsters that you skipped. They're just gone. So you can
You
just
snuck past them
double
like
back.
Solid Snake, so they left.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna go with the idea that, like, the travel points is just like, it's the equivalent of the Indiana Jones thing where he shoots the guy with the sword.
What? Is that a thing that actually happens in the movie?
gun swords.
Basically, there's this guy who has this big falchion, and he's like swinging crazy and everything, and like Harrison Ford just looks exhausted and just sighs, and then he pulls out his pistol and shoots him. The reality of that is that this was going to be a big sword fight, but like Harrison Ford was legitimately sick with something because they were in a different country and like things were not going well, and like it was 130 degrees or something. So they're like, we can't do this scene, and so they just rewrote the scene to be like that, and it's one of the most iconic scenes in all the movies.
From a gameplay standpoint, I can see why they took the monsters off the map. From a realistic standpoint, you know, whatever, the monsters would still be there. Doesn't matter. But as far as gameplay goes, if any of y'all played Super Mario Brothers 3, alright, you had, like, the cloud that would let you skip levels. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
they did not count as completed after you skipped them. So if you died and went back to the beginning of the world with a continue or something, that level still wasn't done. And you no longer have your cloud. So you have to beat it anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, which is a major inconvenience. I get that it's not realistic for you to just spend travel points and avoid monsters in an ice cave, which presumably doesn't have a whole lot of, you know, ways to avoid monsters, you know, as opposed to like a forest. But from a gameplay standpoint, I accept it because I'd be kind of pissed.
Yeah, there's already a lot of encounters in there, and then you have to refight them as you like go back and forth between all these dead ends with events. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I have one more complaint about the enemies. Like, it's the ice cave, right?
Yeah.
Like what the fuck are the elements of the enemies again? Because most of them are not like water.
Yeah, that's right. We have like floating eyeball, bellsprout, and chicken thing.
Yeah.
And block of ice.
Yeah, and everything that looks like they should be like blocks of ice or whatever are not water elemental at all. It's like super weird.
They could do something like have enemies thematically color-coded to make sense. Like, the water elemental creatures are blue, and like you could just recolor the sprites that already exist.
Some enemies have weaknesses, but they never make any sense. So just guess until you get it right.
Well, yeah, and it travels by so fast, I can't remember which character it was that did weakness, and it's like, you know what, just spamming the attack.
You know what, that's another thing, okay, about the enemies. Not only did their turns go by too fast, and it was hard to tell who was attacking because the flash was too fast, but also, they don't have fucking names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, at least
Yeah.
names might give a clue.
And,
Or a skin feature, you know?
yeah, especially like chicken thing. It's not weak to
Yeah.
fire, despite what you may think. I think it's weak to earth or something. Because presumably bird, wind, whatever. But if I had like a name I could attach to it, I'd be like, oh yeah, you're this thing, you're weak to this. And if someone went on Game FAQs to make a guide, they could say, well, this thing's weak to this, as opposed to, well, it's this chicken thing, but not the chicken thing in the ice cave. It looks a little bit different, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
Last time it was chicken things, or chicken things. Yeah, it was the ice cave chicken thing, and this time it's the forest chicken thing, and then we're gonna get to the desert chicken thing.
Oh man. Okay, this is a different game, but like I like how Legend of Legaia has elemental monster things because like they put the element of the monster first and then the name of the monster. So you know it has a fucking element because it's just right there on the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that Persona was real bad about that too. Like, there was never any rhyme or reason to any enemy having any sort of elemental weakness, so it literally was just throw out every spell possible until you
At
finally
least you
find
had
the
Scan
correct
in the
one.
Persona games.
What?
At least you had a guy who took notes and remembered all the weaknesses whenever you encountered a new guy.
Yeah, actually, in Persona 3, your support person would scan enemies. Like, you could tell them to scan enemies at the beginning of your turn, and it would
Yeah,
take
yeah.
some time, and then they would come back and be like, here's all the information. And then they did not put that in Persona 4 or 5, and I'm pissed about it.
They want
Speaking
you
of
to
removing
spend more
features.
MP.
They want you to spend money on the official strategy guide.
Do you think we need to revamp the element system? Because as adults, all right, we've all played. I think it's called Pokemon. You know, you have a character that's on fire,
Pokemon?
or it's shooting flames, or it's red. Okay, it's a fire type. I'm going to use a water type move. And if you go into 99% of RPGs with that mindset, you're going to kill every fire enemy before they even know what to do with you. So, do we need to improve or make more complex the elements in video games so we don't either have them completely figured out in 1 second or so obtuse that it's impossible without trial and error?
Well, I think the problem with that is that nobody's really been able to find that happy medium where it's not obvious that, hey, this thing is on fire, I wonder what the fuck its element is, and hey, this thing is literally rainbow colored, so I guess I'll just throw every element at it and hope for the best. Like, the only thing I can think of is the really, like, obscure ones where you have no idea, but at least you'll have some kind of spell, like scan, or some item you can use that will tell you what their elemental weakness is. But then it just becomes the waiting game of, okay, well, I'm just going to defend until I figure out their weakness from the scan and then just use that. And it's just back to square one of being too easy.
Yeah, that's where I appreciated Remela's attack having 2 separate elements, because you could try 2 of the 6 elements in one attack. Like, okay, weak to water but resistant to dark. Okay, can write those 2 down right now, and it's something you were already planning on doing, you know, doing a full combo, but you get 2 vital pieces of information in that one attack.
Yeah, that's why I like that the characters' regular attacks have elements associated with them, because then you get, you know, you can, just using regular attacks between your 3 characters, you can check 4 of the 6 elements, which is a lot easier than, you know, having to cast each spell, like, focus the next turn so you can cast another spell to check for the weakness, and by that point, 2 of your 3 party members are dead because the enemies do, like, 4,000 damage per attack, and...
Yeah, wouldn't that be a great gimmick? Like, one character just uses, like, 5 elements in one attack string, but it's all, like, garbled up or whatever. You can tell what it's weak or strong against with that one guy, but, like, his attack is garbo.
All their damage does 1 damage, except for the element that is strong against the creature. It does 2 damage. And if the enemy is resistant, it does 0 damage.
Oh, man.
I like this idea, but I want like the attacks to be similarly like lame. Like his fire attack is he just goes up and he takes a lighter
lights
and
a
tries
match.
to light him. And like water is
Yeah,
just
he
like squirt gun.
He throws a match, he kicks dirt in their eye, then he shoots a water gun, and then blows him over.
The earth
And I don't
just
know,
throws
flashes
a
him.
rock.
He takes a flashlight and shines it in their face. It's like the character is just an extreme hoarder, so they all have this random stuff, and that's just how they attack.
Oh yeah, they'd have like a huge backpack thing, kind of like the mask salesman, but like it just has like all sorts of crap that like to do these really stupid elemental attacks.
You know, that'd be a fun way to put scan in your game without putting scan in your game.
It's true. Just to have a character who does something like that. And then if the enemy's not weak to any of those 5, then you know it's dark by default.
I was thinking dark is just he tries to throw a blanket over.
He shines the light for the light attack and then starts making shadow puppets. That's the dark attack.
God. That'd be great.
We are making a better character than like we should.
Sky Fortress, take some notes. You can thank us later.
This is what the super prissy girl does. How about that? And like her like butler guy is the guy who takes all the hoarding. Like he's carrying the backpack. And she like goes and grabs the lighter from him.
Wait, the super prissy girl? Who's that? There's like 6 dozen characters.
Hold on, let me.
Oh boy, are we moving on to characters now, or are we still on gameplay?
I think this is a good time to transition, unless you got something, Rob.
Nah, I'm not thinking anything.
All right.
So characters, all right. The big problem: there's a lot of characters.
There's so many characters.
So many fucking characters.
So many characters.
Because again, they throw the whole kitchen sink at you because it's a demo, and I think that the game is worth replaying because the text is a bit dense, and by going through it twice, you get to see like the themes they're trying to set up and like some of the stuff they're looking to explore. And I did enjoy the inn scene because you have all these characters basically in pairs. Like you can go around town and everyone's in a pair, and you talk to those 2 people. But then when you get to the inn, they're all interacting outside of their normal group and with each other, and I thought that was really cool.
Like, I'm just gonna say, that intro part where you meet all the NPCs or whatever, there are just so many of them. Like, I could not attach myself to any of them right away. I could tell they were kind of important, because, like, they have names, they have their faces, and they're all unique looking, and they all explain that away as like, oh, this place is like a gathering place of like heroes or wanderers or whatever. But it's like there's so many different people. I can only say that it's probably because like the demo is like in media res, but like not in a good way.
There's a lot of awkward exposition, and it really distracts me from trying to get to know the characters just because I'm really picky about that. Like, you know, at the very beginning, you know, here comes, oh, hey, I'm in the finals of this recruitment. That's something else, too. They throw out a lot of terms and, like, MacGuffins and stuff that get no explanation. Like, I still have no idea what her test was for. Like, I don't know what the hell she was doing. Like, but she's, like, in the finals of this huge exam to be part of the, what are they called? They're not the Valkyries. They're the Vanguard?
Vanguard.
Yeah, the Vanguards. And her friend comes in and is like, so who's your partner for the finals? And she's like, what partner? And she's like, yeah, didn't they tell you that you need a partner for the finals? And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, are you serious right now?
God. Well, from an anime standpoint, it makes sense because, you know, she just wandered out of there and then someone else will tell her later about all the shit that she missed because, you know, meetings are boring, right?
But the person who told her isn't even in the exam, so why does she know?
Well, because she got up before noon and heard all about it in town.
I guess. And also, why is the final exam in partners? Why was nothing else in partners?
So we could force her to partner up with her sister. But
yeah, then why not just have it be partners the whole time?
Because they don't like each other or something, I guess.
No, that was...
It's unclear.
No, I agree with Deldris. That's how it's set up, is like, you fight solo, but the finals is in pairs, because reasons.
The dumbest part of that is, it's not like you actually fight as her solo. Like, they could have changed it so, like, there was no portion of this tournament that she was fighting solo. And, like, they're like, yeah, you can't enter the tournament, period, if you don't have a partner. And honestly, I wouldn't have given it any shit if there was only 3 battles to the tournament because it's an RPG. I don't want to fucking play 18 battles that would make it a sensible tournament. You know? There's some bad pipe laying that happens.
So you're saying it could have been done better?
Oh yeah, I totally agree there.
Yeah, like oh, your partner got sick or something, or has to do something.
Or even if it was more like her, like, just being frank about trying to avoid it, you know? Like, the fact, like, the whole thing, like, she doesn't know. Or if it was really, like, this was their establishing her, like, being extremely irresponsible and completely clueless about what's going on, even with things that are important to her, you know? But that doesn't seem to be the case. Like, after that, she seems moderately serious. Like, she's not the most serious character here, but, like, she does seem to actually care about the tournament and what she's got to do, you know? It feels like they wanted to have this conflict to happen, and they didn't fully think of the best way to make it happen.
Yeah, it was.
So it kind of just feels like an ass pull.
Yeah.
Oh, it totally
Yeah.
was. It totally was. But
Yeah.
that's okay though. I wanted to talk about like the way the characters talk. There seems to be like 3 main dialects the writer has. They have like normal manners of speech. Then they have like the more purple prose that's used with the thieves that you end up fighting in the finals, who are Belcruade and Zuleika. And then also in the town when you talk to Morrigan. So there's the normal, there's the verbose, and then there's Priel, who's just like, lol. Every time I think of Priel talking, I think of that one portrait she has where she has like her eyes wide and like her mouth going down. Because that's who she is by default, probably.
Oh boy.
Although I'm trying to split my attention going through. I just beat the boss at the end of the ice dungeon.
Congratulations, you beat the game.
That's the end of the game? Okay, so I'm going through the end cutscene here.
Yeah.
And I am noticing that it is kind of interesting that she's got this characteristic of, like, her, like, ho ho ho, lol lol lol, is a little bit of a, like, defense mechanism, it seems. And she does pull out some of that purple prose herself before the battle. So, like, she's not just memes, you know?
Yeah.
Which, they're not really memes, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think instead of giving us like 47 characters to get to know a really tiny amount, they should have just given us a handful, like 5-6 characters, maybe like the protagonist and then your main antagonists.
Yeah.
And focused on them and given us a better picture of what they're like. Because, like, I don't really know anything about anyone, and I don't care about any of these characters.
See,
Yeah.
I'll actually disagree somewhat. Like, I actually kind of dug a good number of these characters, and I kind of, like, there was a number of characters that I kind of was like, man, that'd be cool if this is their partner, you know? Like, do we get to choose? Because that would have been cool. I mean, that would have been really tough, because you would have had to develop each one of them into a workable playing character, and considering how short the game is. The different characters, with very little dialogue, they established at least 2D characters with most of the characters that you see. Like, there's multiple aspects to each one, and aspects that would somewhat contradict each other. Like, there's the hoity-toity lady, but also she's really self-conscious of things, and also she's a terrible drunk, you know, that, like, gets too flirtatious when drunk.
You're talking about Morrigan.
She has the line about, like, not wanting to be carried or something. She has a lot of depth for having very little dialogue, you know? And I think most of the characters kind of felt that way. These are, like, the person who made these are their beloved OCs, and they've come up with a lot of ideas about all of them. So it didn't take much so that they were consistent characters with this. And this is somebody who's been thinking about these characters a lot. But there still is a problem with, like, there's very little game and so many characters. It's like, how much am I supposed to get invested in these characters?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because we don't have a lot of time spent with these characters at all, unlike games like FF5 or something, I guess. Or 4?
4. The revolving
Quest.
door of party members.
Everyone's dead, but not really.
It's like
lol.
where the mages are like the drummers in Spinal Tap.
Just replace them with a new model every couple hours.
But
A list of dead mages.
But like, yeah, we don't spend enough time with these characters, so we barely know them. And I'm sure the dev actually knows them a lot and are super familiar with them, but we, the players, are not the dev in that case, so we wouldn't know as much.
Yeah, in the notes I took, again, this is why I talked about playing through the game a second time, because the amount of text the game throws at you is a bit frustrating, but they want to get these characters out. They want you to see these characters, and, you know, looking through the notes, like, you know, Morrigan's interaction with Reese, who is the kid who she ends up napping on when she gets drunk, you know, that's a cute interaction. You have Ivo, who's his friend, who is flirting with Priel, like, very obviously flirting with her. And then you have, like, Vayli, the person who wakes Priel up for the thing. Her brother Gunnar does all their, like, sets up all their adventuring work. Gunnar has an admirer. Priel's sister Perrine likes him, but doesn't say anything, you know. So reading through it all a second time, it revealed a lot of depth that I wasn't catching on to before. But I still had to play it a second time. Now, thankfully, the game is short. I did appreciate that depth because every time you talk to somebody, you get something new. It reminds me of Lunar, which I'm currently replaying through, because like with Priel, when you first start the game, bam, you are supposed to go to the city, and there's a little arrow saying go to the city. But if you click on other locations, Priel talks about those other locations. When you go into town, everyone talks with Priel, and if you talk to them a second time, you get more dialogue. When you bring Perrine into your party, everyone has new dialogue, and then you can talk to them a second time for more dialogue. If you leave the city instead of going to the arena, Perrine has her own opinion about all the other places you could have possibly gone to, and then you repeat this for Remela when you get her. So,
Yeah.
like, whoever... Like, this is why it's called a visual novel RPG, because there is a lot of there's a lot of stuff you can learn about these characters if you mash Z enough.
Yeah, that's the reason why I didn't get the game done, because I wanted to see every little bit of that, and there was quite a bit to be had. I want to know some more about a good number of these characters. A couple characters that were like, no, I don't need to know about this character. Who was it? The one researcher lady,
Rhea?
I see you have her listed here as bitch, but I feel like I don't even mind the fact. I don't even mind the fact that she is so full of herself and confident, especially since, as far as I can tell, she may be as good as she says. And honestly, that would be a refreshing surprise to have a character actually be really good when they talk shit like that. But, like, that's not a very deep character. There's not much more to her other than she's a researcher and she believes she's very, very good at her job, which she may be. The two brothers were really cool, and that was all very interesting, seeing them and their attempt to be flirtatious, especially with the main sisters, and like those were characters I'd like to see more of.
I like a lot of the banter in the game. So when Priel and Perrine meet Rhea, like if you go with Perrine in your party to talk to Rhea in tier, Priel says to Perrine, I really can't stand people like her. And then Perrine says, do you own any mirrors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need a mirror. I know I always look good. Something like that.
Yeah, Priel was trying to avoid the implication there of I'm a bitch too. It's like, nah. There's also when you talk to Ivo and Reese right before you go to the ice cave, like when you have Remel in your party. Ivo's like, well, what are you gonna do? And then Priel says, I'll just do what I always do. And then everyone's like, lie, bully, betray, improvise.
Yeah, that was really funny, but also very endearing.
I also liked when Remela got drunk, and the other character's like, well, where'd she go? If you see a broken window, I'd check the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
And the continual reference to the chandelier and hanging from it, like how that was woven into multiple conversations. It's like, who would do that? And then you find out that the orb crafter lady, like, she's not at the shop because she had to go and fix the chandelier. Like, it works its way through multiple points in the story, and it, like, there's some good characterization and good humor and depth with all this. It's just, there's so many characters in so little time. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Have you ever seen High School Rumble?
You mean School Rumble?
School Rumble. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
It's
Cody
in my...
has definitely
this-
seen School Rumble.
Man, Deldris, have I forced you to watch School Rumble at some point?
I think let me try to remember what School Rumble is. Is that the one where you have like the classes that are graded and they have little avatars that fight each other?
No, that's Baka
No.
and Test.
No,
School
no,
Rumble
that's-
is...
That's Baka
else.
and Test. Which one's School Rumble?
There's
then?
like no Rumble in School Rumble.
Yeah, no, School Rumble starts with...
It's
School,
just
School Rumble starts like as a love triangle, then it becomes a love pentagon, then it becomes a love whatever the fuck shape it is.
Dodecahedron.
Yeah, no, School Rumble was part of Bad Anime Night. That was when I had you all watch the episode from season 2 where they're like shooting each other to decide if they're gonna do a play or cafe for the school festival.
Yeah, I remember. That was a rumble. I'd call that a rumble. They were shooting each other.
I don't even remember that. I just remember like my favorite character guy who was trying to be tough guy, but actually was just a big softie and a romantic.
That'd be Harima. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did appreciate with School Rumble how, like, it starts with Tenma, Karasuma, and Harima, and then you learn about Tenma's friends, and then you learn about, you know, the other people in school. It just kind of balloons out, because they bring up characters like Karen, who has the green hair, and Yoshi Dayama, who has, like, the big sprouting orange hair. Like, they're both introduced on the first disc, but they don't actually get their own episodes until way later. These people are hinted at, but
Yeah.
you're not required to care about them. And then, you know, once you're familiar with all the other characters, they introduce the other ones with their own episodes.
That's kind of how I feel about all the characters here, because like I said, in media res, you show up in the middle, everyone's already familiar with each other, sort of, in this demo, and it's like I don't get it. Like,
This-
they are interesting characters, don't get me wrong, but like,
Yeah, having to get to
kinda-
know them, like, all immediately as familiar as they do with each other, that's kind of that's a burden.
yeah, because like, for example, with School Rumble, Harima at the start is very different from like near the end of season 1 or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of how I feel about the characters in Panty Pony Dash, is that there's just a lot of characters who don't really get their own time to be fleshed out, really, except for Bohoimi, at least that I've seen. Maybe that'll come up later, but as of now, which is like most of the way through Disc 2, they show up, but they don't really say or do a whole lot, and they're just kind of wacky characters that show up occasionally. It's like the weird uncle that you don't see except at the family reunion. He's just kind of like, hey guys, I'm part of the family too. And everyone's like, oh, okay, cool. We'll see you next year.
Yeah, no. In Panty Pony, they don't get more complex. Bohoimi's the only one with an arc, which is why I like to bring up her arc, because it's fucking hilarious. But the thing about Panty Pony Dash is, you know, comparing with School Rumble real quick. School Rumble, you get people's backstories at a comfortable time. You know, you get familiar with who they are now, you learn about who they were, and then the story moves forward. In Panty Pony Dash, they don't do that. They just give you, like, who they are now, and the wacky tropes that they define, and that's who they are. In Sacred Earth, they're trying to take all of these characters and get you to the level of School Rumble familiarity in an hour. or in what essentially boils down to 5 or 6 text boxes.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the problem. Like, I really, just kind of going back, think that the demo should have just picked a handful and focused on them, instead of trying to dump, like, 40 hours worth of character investment into an hour.
Yeah. I mean, a handful of characters that are, like, introduced well is okay with me. Like, I don't mind when the main character gives a monologue to the player. Like, do you guys have problems with that? Because I don't mind it at all.
It's better than the beginning of the game where it's the black screen with text. Like, the main character, especially the main character, I kind of prefer the main character talking to someone else to kind of give it context. But I don't mind if that goes on for quite a while.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind if the main character girl was like, "This is so and so, my sister. We're not in the best of terms, but I love her." I wouldn't have minded a monologue like that, you know?
Oh yeah, like an inner monologue.
Yeah. Like
moments.
she's explaining so and so character to the player, just so we get it straight.
That's a big thing that this is doing weirdly. It's basically set up like a visual novel, but it has no narration. And it wouldn't matter if it was first or third person narration. Either would be fine, but there's no narration. And so everything that is delivered is pipe. And it feels awkward because some instances, that's a lot of pipe.
Yeah. I actually didn't mind that at all, because with how the internet is and with the games I'm used to playing, I find that the way Sacred Earth did it was far more natural. I want to talk about this regarding Lunar eventually, because in Lunar, the opening narration isn't, "Hi, I'm Alex and I want to be a Dragon Master." No, what it is he's basically saying what amounts to a diary entry out loud. You know, he wants to be a Dragon Master, but such excitement is a long way from Berk. And you learn Alex's name because Null calls out to him because Null's been looking for him. And that seems a lot more natural to me, to just not acknowledge that the player exists.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a huge fan of the whole, "Hi, I'm Lena Inverse, and I'm going on my great adventure to, be a wizard," or whatever she's doing. I don't remember.
I feel like it
It's been
worked
a long time
for
since
Lena.
I've seen Slayers.
But yeah, whatever way you do it, you have to really own it and make it work. So, like, I mean, when I say laying pipe, I'm including laying the pipe about relations with other characters. Like, some areas, there wasn't pipe laid down, and so, like, you're just like, "Oh, so I guess we know each other," type of thing, you know? I mean, the way they could have done it is, sister hasn't been in town, and so instead of making it like this force of trying to whatever, make it something where the sister has to go around and Priel has to explain who all these people are. That's a much more natural way to lay the pipe of who these characters are. And it gives a great reasoning for why the audience is learning this information, because someone's learning too. This is the reason why so many games start with either you woke up from some kind of amnesia, or you just got into a new town, or you've got the situation of, "This is my tiny hometown that has not much that happens in it, and we can gather all the information about everyone in this town in like 3 minutes."
You know what I think did this well? Is the TV show Recess.
Oh, I knew you were going to talk about this.
You knew? Oh, so you saw my post. Okay, so I finally get to talk about this. In the show Recess, there's a character named Gus. Gus is the new kid. Gus doesn't know jack shit about how the playground works. He doesn't know that the kindergartners are rabid savages. He doesn't know why there's a 6th grader at the top of the playground acting as a king. So, because Gus doesn't know this, it gives everyone else who's been there forever a reason to explain to him what's going on and why. And because they're explaining it to him, the audience then gets to hear it.
This happened in Doug, too. Doug moved to the new town. Like, there's so many shows where a kid moves to a new town in the first episode.
Yeah.
If nothing else, it's a very relatable experience, and it places the main character in a position of some amount of sympathy, because everyone knows that's a tricky thing to do with your life, is to move to a new place. But because everything is new, everything needs to be explained to the main character, and then you get that explanation.
Or maybe the main character is showing some other new person around.
Exactly.
And like, just to show how amazing the main character is or whatever.
But I guess that's kind of the problem, is how do you have a world of pre-established characters that all know each other but convey that to the player without using some sort of like inner monologue or some awkward exposition of like, oh, hey, look, it's Rhea, that researcher bitch. Like,
well, again, like what you said earlier, Deldris, it's the having it be a small group of characters so that we can get intimately acquainted with them in a short amount of time. Because School Rumble did it. School Rumble did it completely successfully. They're all starting a brand new school year, but they all know each other, And
yeah, that was actually pretty good, because there isn't a new kid. There is nobody that has to have anything explained to them, and they just, all their quirk just slowly come out as it's needed. But there's a lot of time given for that.
Yeah.
Time that this game doesn't have.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it is super weird when, like, you start talking to an NPC expecting, oh, this is just an NPC. And then it turns out, oh, I knew this guy for years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did appreciate how many portraits they put in for each and every character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a lot of work. I know artists that work on games like this. Every face is a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're getting kind of long on time here. So one last question: who's your waifu? Mine is Remula, not because she's a vampire, but because she scratches an itch that I have. Okay, it's not exactly a fetish, but it's a thing because I've liked Batman ever since I was a kid, and it's that dark is not evil. Like Deldris can tell you, I'm generally the villain in my group of friends because I'm an asshole and I try and be clever or snarky about things. So
I'll vouch for that. Cody's an asshole.
So, like, having a character that is a vampire, but is just like a happy-go-lucky, likes to eat a lot of shit kind of thing, I enjoy that so much. I identify with that so hard.
Proof that Cody's choice in waifu is trash.
All right, you're
Cody's
so smart.
having a good waifu pick. Pick one.
I was expecting Vaylee to be like the secondary main character type of thing, and so like I was immediately like starting to get invested as waifu material, but then she disappeared and just wasn't in the rest of the game. Like, I mean, you see her a tiny bit and you can look at her house, but
Honestly, I'm not particularly attached to any of the characters. I mean, I don't dislike any of the characters in particular. I'm fairly indifferent about a lot of the characters. So, I don't know. I guess I'll just man-whore and pick all of them until I can settle on one.
I am on par with what Del said, but like I guess if I had to pick one, I'd pick what's her name, the main character girl with the fire sword,
Priel,
because it deals a lot of damage.
and that's what you like.
somebody-
You like,
And other than that,
you like a lot of damage inflicted on you.
Yeah. What? I mean, like also she has that kind of like she has that nonchalant kind of action, but she can back it up. Like she's confident, but she can back up her confidence. That's a plus for me because like the other two party members are like, sadness and like, I'm also sad. Let's be sad together.
Wait, somebody will remind me who, I don't even know how to pronounce her name. Vaylee?
we're calling it Vaylee because
Vaylee?
Yeah.
Like, who's she again?
She's the one who wakes up Priel at the beginning of the game. Like, they're friends, but then her brother Gunnar drags her off to do adventures at the ice cave before you show up.
Right. If somebody held a gun to my head, I would pick her, I guess.
She's got
She
had to
doesn't
pick
do
someone.
anything.
gotta have blue hair. I'm gonna have to put in at least some queer take in here, and I think both brothers are actually super cute. So there's that for husbandos.
Ivo and Reese.
Yeah, Like their designs are like super boring, but like their personalities are adorable. So you know.
So prime husbando material right there.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
I mean, husbando material is usually about personality anyway. There's a lot of like kind of bishy characters that are like super boring in the guy department here, like Ballcrud,
Ball
the-
crud.
Oh, crud.
Man in White, who's he's this fucking he's one of those guys. He's fedora wearing fuck, you know.
He's very debonair and offers to carry his lady.
Milady. It's like she fucking like Red Sirens.
He's
Nope.
the
Nope.
opposite of the main character. He's showy, but has nothing to back it up at all.
Yep.
Well, he's the sequel Hook. You never see him do anything.
Oh,
No,
he's the
sequel
sequel
Hook
hook.
is-
Do you think he's the fucking ocelot at the end of the demo?
I don't fucking know, but what I do know is that they never give him a damn name.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't
there's
worry,
also
I
the
have
guy
the
whose
disc
name
that
was
launches the
question
nuclear
marks.
bomb, Mr. President.
The old man, or the one they call Pops that was waiting outside the orb store.
He's not a
Actually,
major character, is he?
no, he was there one scene, but he had face sprites, you know, so that has to count for something. And
He's
he
actually
said,
the legendary
"I'm sure
hero.
we'll see each other again." So there you go. There's your actual hook.
He's actually the legendary hero from the previous game.
Yes.
Came
I,
to this game to wreck your shit.
I agree with Brad. Man in White and Ball Crusade kind of suck, but Evo's pretty cool.
Hulk Crusade.
Damn it.
That's good. You improved on ball crud.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you all
So
for
we
listening.
all agree we all hate Ball Cruiser.
Yes. God damn it. Thank you all for listening to this special RPGMG podcast. This is Cody. Back your shit up. We'll see you all next time.
Farewell.
This is Deldris, Ball Captain.
This is Devil's Avocado. Ball cap.
And this is Blue Sky Robin launching all Ball Cruisers.